One of the issues facing many healthcare companies today is they're spending more and more time and resources and costs on compliance. At the same time, the number of compliance issues continue to increase. One of the examples of which is that the number of warning letters in both pharma and medtech has almost doubled over the course of the past 5 years. And we think that there's a variety of reasons for this, but one of which that is not necessarily apparent all the time is the link between complexity and compliance. And so over time, as compliance requirements have gotten more rigorous, the actual complexity of the companies themselves has increased. And this complexity has several sources. It can be geographic complexity from new markets, it can be product complexity with SKU proliferation, or it can be organizational complexity. And this complexity has a direct trace to maintaining compliance. And so this takes several different forms. One of which is the complexity can overwhelm the systems associated with maintaining documentation and filings. So filing product with individual markets, with the tracking and keeping up-to-date licenses, so on and so forth. It also impacts the manufacturing process itself. So the complexity dramatically increases the amount of testing and lab work required, the amount of inspections on the line, and just creates unnecessary costs and slowdowns throughout the process. And then finally, it overwhelms the surveillance, so how you actually monitor the product in field. So the complexity dramatically increases the amount of noise as it relates to complaints and actually responding to what is real signals of safety in field as opposed to unnecessary noise. So the cost of this can be very real. So there's the direct costs as it ties to the compliance itself. Addressing a complaint can be several $100s, addressing a warning letter, several $1,000,000, or ultimately a consent decree, which can be several $100 million. And outside the direct cost, there's also the other costs associated with it. So there's drug shortages, there is having late filings and not being able to sell product in markets. And then there's obviously the manufacturing process itself of slowing it down and creating unnecessary costs in terms of the manufacturing and the overall process. So what can you do about it? One of the things that we think people can do is first understand this link between complexity and compliance. And so what that starts with is bringing together representatives of quality, supply chain, commercial, manufacturing, and regulatory to actually understand what choices are leading to value-add complexity and what choices are leading to unnecessary complexity in the system. Once you've done that, you need to take action. So then it's a matter of taking out the complexity in a systematic way that is unnecessary in driving these costs and really repositioning the system to be as lean and as efficient as possible. And once you've done that, you then need to build for the future. So creating the right incentives and processes and understanding so that as choices are made, you understand how it impacts complexity and compliance and you're making the right choices and you're building a compliance system that actually serves the right level of complexity for the organization. And if you do this, you not only reduce costs, you improve speed dramatically and ultimately improve patient safety.